Okay, so now let's try to read from a file which has multiple line of data. So if I have a file 1, let's say this. Okay, so if I write anything over there, full stack development Java and React. Okay, like this. If I have a data with multiple line, then how will I read it? So I'll come over here. So we have this. Okay, so let me initialize this first, and going forward I will just use it. Okay, so now I want to read multiple lines, so I'll put this into a while condition. So while, and this is the end of while. Okay, now be very careful with this. This is, we are reading one line, this is the while, and this is the end of while. So what I'll do is I'll put this whole, the whole thing into a condition, and I'll say till I don't get null. Then you can keep on displaying this. Okay, and let's save it and let's run it. So I can display the entire file over here in capital. I'll do it once again how I did it. Okay, so first I'll take a while. Okay, then we have this data, right? So how do we populate this data? We got it, data equals to br dot read line. Okay, like this we had got for a single line. Okay, now I want multiple lines, so I'll put this whole into a bracket and say while this whole is not equal to null. And then what were we doing? We were just displaying this data into a, that's all we were doing. Let's run and check its and it's working. Okay, so if I ask you to count the number of characters, now how will we do that? If we are asked to count the number of characters in this file, then how will we do that? So whatever data, okay, so we'll take some variables over there, integer, character count, initialize it to 0, integer, word count, initialize it to 0. Now we have, in this while loop, we have this first, we have this string, right? So what will we do? We'll take a character array called as line. Okay, line data, whatever. And what will we do? We'll convert this data to a character array. And then how many characters have come is the length of this. So what we can do, character count plus equal to line data dot length, and then we can display outside over here sys out total number of characters characters in the file is character. So it is how many? 69 it is telling. Okay. And if I want to do word count, then if I want to do word count, then what I'll do? I'll take a string array words, or you can say line. Okay. So I wanted this is line data. So this is line words equals to what? Data dot split on this character. This should be a array of string, right? And then what will we do? Word count will be plus equal to line words dot. Okay, so this will give me the number of words in the file. Words in the So okay, we haven't changed the variable. 13 words. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay. Now if I ask you to display me character count line by line, then how many characters are there in each line? Then I'll just paste this. So now instead of displaying these outside, we'll display it inside. Where I want to display line by line, and then we can take a integer line number. So line number equals to 1. In line number line number is total number of characters in the line number 1 is, and total number of in line number of words. So what are we doing now? We are splitting them. And what are we doing? Line count line number plus plus, and now we have to set this as 0 inside, right? Because each line we will set it to 0, no? You just declare it. So we are setting character count to 0. Get the data over here, split it, add it to the word count, display it, and then line by line we can display. So let's check this out. So it is telling me, welcome to Pune, have a nice stay. Has total number of characters 33 and total number of words in line number 1 is 7. 1, 2, 3, 4 5. The next is full stack development. Total number of characters is 22 and words is 3. Java and React is 14 and 3. Are you all getting it, guys? So like this you all can play around with the data. Once you all have the data in the variable, then it's up to you how you want to manipulate it. Getting it? In that data, yes, one line will come, read line, no? That's why we are doing. And then we are displaying that also. So it is being displayed over here, no? And then converting into a character array, splitting and then doing all these activities. Making sense? All this while we were writing, what type of data we were writing? Textual data, right? So today, now I will write some object. So let's say I have a student class which has private integer roll number, private string s name, and private double percentage. Source, generate setter getters, generate constructor first. If you're writing a all args constructor, it's a good habit to write a no args constructor as well. Source, generate setter getters, source, generate toast. Okay, so far so good. Now I want to write this object into a file. So object, will it be what, characters, or will it be bytes? Bytes. So how do I write that now? So let's make a new class, write object to file. So for this we have to learn serialization. What we have to learn? So you're able to see my screen, right? So if this is the object, okay, so object I will use as a hexagon symbol to use the object. So I made a class called as class student, right? So if I make an object of this class student, it will look something like this. If I want to store this student record into my file, now this is what type of data? This is byte data. This is not textual data, okay? And now I want to store this into my file, whatever file I want to give. Okay. So let's say I want to store into stud.txt. So this object in its original shape and size cannot be stored into the object, right? So we have to serialize this. Remember, in PHP we had done serialization. That inflatable sofa example we had taken. Okay, so here you all got this concept right now. So if we have a sofa which is filled with air, So such sofas are airalizable. If I have a wooden sofa or a metal bed, I will not call it airalizable. And then to transport it from one house to another house, what will we do? First we'll deflate it, means remove all the air. So this large sofa will now become into a very small piece, and then I can put it onto any of my transport and transfer it to the next house, right? So what is this activity called of deflating? We'll call it as serialize. And once it is transferred to the next house, again I will fill air and again I will bring it back to its original shape and size. This activity is called inflate. In our term we will call it as unserialize. So we have to serialize the object. So object in its original shape and size cannot be stored in the file. Object in its original shape and size cannot be stored in the file. So what we have to do? First we have to serialize the object, and then once it is serialized, it will turn out into a stream of bytes. What will it turn into? Stream of bytes, which is only computer readable, machine readable. Human cannot interpret that code. And if human wants to then make sense out of it, then we have to unserialize the object, and again it will convert back to its original shape and size. Okay, so that's what we are trying to do. So first we made a class, student class, and now we are writing that object. So for writing, we are writing byte data, right? So for byte writing byte, which class was there? And to read bytes, which class was there on the file? File input string. Okay, so I come here now. So I make object of file output stream, and which file are we reading from? So there we were writing, okay, we were writing characters over here, right? Over here while reading over here. So which file did we need help of to read characters? So here we are going to write what? Character of object. Here what are we going to write? An object, right? Okay, so these are prone to throwing exceptions. So just directly say throws exception. It should capture all the exceptions. Okay. So here we will writing. So we'll get an object output stream. What will we require? Object output stream also. Okay. So OOS equals to new object output stream. And from where will it read from? This file output stream. Okay. So this is a connection. This is a chain. Okay, so we'll make a class of object of file output stream, which will point to this file. Which file? And then to write the object, we'll make a object output stream, which will point to this object of file output stream. Make sense? And then we will write this object using this OOS. We will write the object. So you can just call the method is there, right? Object method is there. OOS dot write object. And which object are we writing? S1. And then you can just give a confirmation that object written to file, and then once it is done, then you can close both these streams. Okay, so here's the input one, FOS. So first close the inner one, FOS dot close, and then OOS dot close. So let's save this and check. Right click. Okay, now this will cause an error. Okay, this will cause an error. Be careful, because the class which we are serializing, if you observe, on the bed which we can serialize, what did I write over here? So only the realizable beds can be deflated, right? So only those class object can be serialized which implements the serializable interface. Implements what? This This is a marker interface. It is an empty interface. See, if I go inside it, it is an empty interface. Is it anything there inside that? Anything inside the serializable? So it's an abstract interface, empty interface. So its job is only that only those classes which are marked with serializable can only be serialized. If I don't give this, if I don't give this will throw me an error. See, this will throw me an error that I cannot serialize it. Got the exception? Why is it saying that? Yeah. So marker interface is empty interface. It just gives that property. It just sets that flag over there. So now this student class has the flag that it can be serialized. That's all. Okay. No need to implement any method. Normally, when we implement an interface, what do we do? We think of implement overriding the methods, right? But there are no methods in this. So just that this feature has been activated for this class. Now when I run the code, it will run. Okay, written. Let's refresh, and we should have one student.txt. If I open this, can you interpret what is there inside? Can you interpret this code? No, right? So now to read from this, we'll make one more so that we can read from this. We'll just do the reverse of it now. Just okay. Just the reverse action we will do. So from which file do you want to read from? Now you don't have the object, right? Okay, so it is null now. Local variable has to be initialized, right? You cannot use local variable without initializing. So you have to initialize the local variable. From which file will we read? And now what? Input or output? The file input stream, right? Control Shift O. And then object what? Object input stream, right? And we'll read from where? Control Shift O. And then what will we do? Read object. What will we do? Now this can be any type of object. This can be object of any class, right? So what we'll do? We'll typecast it. So we want to typecast it to which class object? And store it in which variable? S1. And as we have written toString, directly I can display S1. And what I do? FIS dot close and OIS, right? And once I do this, I get back my original object back. Okay, so it was null over here. I've stored it over here and displayed it. So as we have toString, it will display the object back. This was the object. Okay, so I'm reading it from where now? Making sense to you all? Okay. So this is called as serialization. This is called as, so now if you open up the documentation, you all see this. So you all can see this. Okay, serialization is the mechanism of converting the state of the object into a, and deserialization is the, yes. unserialize. Okay. So which one, which, what do we need over here? Which marker interface? So what is serializable? It is a mean has no. It is used to mark a Java class so that the object of that class can attain certain capability. Like how we have clonable. In clonable is a marker interface. Remember for deep copy we had done that. Okay, so the byte stream is created is platform independent. Okay, so we have these method write object and read object. Okay. Okay, now this is very interesting. Serial version UID. Okay, see, if I have a student class over here, correct? So let's try to decode this. Or what you all do is you all at least practice this much for today. Maybe then tomorrow I'll take this topic in detail and serial version UID. Oh, hang on, if we can do it today only, we can finish it up. Can we have a class with the same name in different packages? We can have, right? That is the advantage of packages. So package 1 has a class called student, and package 2 also has a class called student. Okay. While serializing, I make an object of which class? I make an object of package 1 dot student. Okay. So S1 is object of which class? Is new blah 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 whatever. Now I store this into the file. Okay. So I write object and I write what over there? S1, right? So now every class has internal a serial version UID. What they have? Serial version UID. So each class has a unique serial version UID. So let's say if I don't provide the serial version UID, the computer will provide the compiler. So let's say the serial version UID given to this class was 1111. What was it? It's a long value. What is it? Okay, so it's a long. Let's say I just cut it short. So now the object which is stored, which is serialized and stored in the class stud1.txt is of which class? Is of package 1.student. Okay, so this object which is stored, okay, whatever this is stored, is of which class? It is of package 1.student. And what is the serial version UID of that class? So serial version UID is 1111. Okay. So now when I will unserialize, I need the reference of this same class whose version ID is UU1111. Okay. If I make, while this was while writing, right? So write object dot Java. In the read object dot Java, and this package is to student serial version UID is, let's say 222. So this is having. So now can I use the reference of this class to load the object? And everything is same, huh? This code is copy paste. The content of the class is same to same. Content of the class is same to same. Integer RNO, string sname, double percentage, same to same it is there. Exactly, word by word same. So now what I do is I take the object of package 2 dot student and I say null, and when read is there, okay, when I try to read that object, I put it into the reference of this class. Okay, so whatever st is there, I try to put it into this st. Will it allow me yes or no? So while unserializing, it will go and check the version UUID. It is different, so it will throw me an exception. It will throw me an exception. Okay, I've captured those exceptions over here in this documentation. See, serial version ID. It will show class cast exception. What will it show? Okay, it will show that. Or it will also show invalid class exception. What will it show? Yeah. Okay. So that will show me. Okay, if I change the class name, okay, it will show me which exception? Class cast exception. What will it show me over here now? Yes, class cast exception, that I will not able to unserialize because the object which was serialized, that class's UID was 1111, and when you are unserializing it, the version ID is U is 2222, so it will throw class cast exception. Getting it? Okay, if you want to try, we can try. So we have a student class now, maybe from some older packages, constructor. See here, okay. So this student belongs to which package? And having the same name, roll number, percentage, same to same, right? So let's try to unserialize in this. Let's try to unserialize in this. One second. Now this student class belongs to which package? So if I come over here in the reading part, and if I say that I want to unserialize from the student which is belonging to which package, will it allow me? Now why is it showing an issue over here? Because isn't there any constructor? We don't have a constructor over there. We have a constructor. Okay, we don't have all our constructor. We have. Okay, we've given double percentage. Yeah, same thing we've given over here, no? Same to same. And we have roll number, name, and percentage. Like this. Yeah, like this. So we are at, yeah. But in unserialized, I want to read it from here. Okay, which student class I want to read from? Into this one, right? So I'll convert it over here. Will it allow me now? What will it throw me over here? The object which I serialized was of which class? This. This class serial version ID was different, And when I'm unserializing, I'm unserializing of which class? This class. The serial version ID of this is different. Okay. So what will it give me? Class exception, right? So I come over here now. Let's try to read it. And this should. No, no, we are not serializing. No, we are just unserializing it. Okay, put it if you want. If you want to move that down, put that. No worries. Implements. Yeah, only by serializing. Okay, but let's put it over here. Okay. And now when I read this, this should throw an exception. Getting which one? Why is it showing that? Serial version UID. The serial version different. Okay. Okay. One more thing. Okay. So I revert back to my original one. Okay. Now it is all good. So if I don't give anything, it's just the same package, right? Okay. But now after serializing, I added something more in the class. Earlier the user. So at every compilation, the ID will change. At every compilation, a new serial version ID will be generated. What was the old serial version ID for this? 1111. Now I add something else over here. Okay, I add some data extra. Private integer x. Now when I run this code, now this object is already stored before. So when the object was stored, what was the UID? And after that I added something. So when it will recompile, what will be the version ID now? 1112. Let's say. Now will it allow me to unserialize? So again it will throw me an exception, and that would be this exception. This one, invalid class exception. Getting it? So if the class gets modified after the storing, then it will throw what? So let's check it out. So now I'm directly running the read. Okay, the write has already been done, right? Getting the difference? So to overcome all this, what we do is we write a hard-coded serial version ID for the class. So what we do is we write a hard-coded serial version ID, so that even if it is compiles 10 times, this doesn't change. Okay, so now if this class compiles 10 times, this will not change, right? So now I remove the x. Okay, now I remove the x, and I first call the write. Okay, now let's change the credentials. 45 Rohit 87.5. So when I am storing this object is of student class. What is the UID? It's a long value, right? So I write this object now. Written in over here. Okay, something got written of Rohit type. Something is there. Now I come to the original class and I change that class. I add something to it and I save it. Now it has compiled internally. It has maintained the same serial version UID, correct? So Now when I go and read the object from the file, it should not suffer, right? This is the advantage of serial version UID. Getting it? And this is serialization. Making sense to you, all right? So only older value, no? So if you want, yeah, if you want some data which you don't want to push into the file, you can mark it with as transient at the rate transient. Okay, so once you mark it with at transient, no, this data is not stored into the file. This is all I have mentioned in the documentation over here. Okay, not at the transient, declare it as transient. Not at the transient, declare it as transient private. Okay, so this will not be part. If you don't want to store any variable in that file, you can mark it as transient, and it will only store instance variable in the files. Okay, the class variables also don't get stored in the file. Okay, so when to use transient keyword, if you want to avoid a data member in order to being serialized. Okay, yes. And even the static variables are not serialized. A variable defined with the static keyword is not serialized. Okay, static variable is also not serialized. Okay,